All right. Thrive Podcast, episode 18, or whatever episode. Let's get right into it, you guys. I'm going to open up our Discord for our Q&A. Basically, I'll get right into it. What I want to talk about in this podcast is some ideas that I have for how I'm going to, what's going to happen on the channel, basically, when the NBA comes back. Transparently, I think it could be a big wave and, do a lot for my channel, you know? So I'm looking to take advantage of that. I'm looking to, find the overlap of what's fun for me to make, what you guys really want, and what is, useful to talk about, you know? So I'm thinking that I want to do some type of, weekly show that is, in general, easy for me to make. Basically, so I want to do more sit down at the desk, and then most of it comes, and sit down at the desk and record, right, my show, right? And then most of the, personality of the show comes from the edit, because, that's what I'm proficient and fast and good in, I wouldn't say that I'm bad at the whole higher effort, bring the camera somewhere, make a piece together story, personal story type video, but I'm definitely quicker and and more efficient at the sit down and talk about basketball cards type thing, and those get more views is the thing. We're a newly monetized channel. Take a sip of congratulatory Thrive water bottle. We hit monetization. I've earned 26 cents so far in my first day. So clearly, clearly the audience likes basketball card stuff. Obviously, I know this. I'm upfront about this. I talk about this, that we know that it's not the thing I make, that I put the most effort into. But I want to put more effort into it. Partly because, and now it's okay, am I doing this because I just want the views and the money from the ads, and because that's what's going to be good for the numbers of the channel, or is it because I really want to fulfillingly make it? But I do think, drawing from NBA channel, YouTube type shows that I like, I do think it would be cool to make a show that has, an intro and segments and a sponsor spot and, recurring segments that I return to that revolves around all of the things that we have, through this channel kind of been brought together around, so basketball cards and the NBA mostly, So, I guess I'm going to talk about just my ideas for it, and then I'll go through the Discord where I kind of toss this out to you guys to, discuss as well. So I've got just a notes file here of NBA season return show ideas. So, excuse me. I want to focus on obviously basketball cards and how it relates to the NBA heavily in the show. And I think the main thing, the biggest, the idea that's had the most, that's been fleshed out the most is the picking 5 to 7 players and following them through the whole narrative of the NBA season and what's left of the NBA season, the whole return arc. And these will be players whose cards I'm personally invested in, who I'm just interested in tracking their card performance and what the market does, around, in the context of basketball actually happening. I think that could be interesting and fun just to see a graph moving up and down and know, oh, this is when Jason Tatum fucking had a really good game, and then we So that's something I'm definitely gonna do, at least for the first like episode. The players I've got so far are Zion, Ja, Giannis, Tatum, Luka, Kawhi, De'Aaron Fox, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you guys have players you think I should track more than those guys, put them in the comments. That's kind of my pre-made list so far of guys that I'm interested in tracking. And it's if you've watched all my cards videos, like these are, except for Kawhi and Luka and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all people whose cards I own. So it's kind of like a fantasy football or fantasy basketball in that way, and so that would be like my main segment. That's like our 5 guys or whatever. Maybe not 5 guys segment, but wow, really Freudian there. But I think it'd be fun to like name segments and make the little graphics of the show, and like make a little brand of like a show, like it's got a color scheme, it's got its own font, like these are things that, through editing are like interesting for me to do, so that's kind of the main idea. In the first episode, I definitely want to talk about just like what the maybe come out and just kind of analyze and share what the actual format is, kind of exactly how there's 8 play-in game or 8 regular season games, the 4 teams for the play-in, just kind of dissect that. Talk about like what the actual playoff picture is right now. I want to like get some stuff out before the season even comes, to kind of build hype for the show, for the channel, for whatever, little community we build around this show. Like build hype for it before the season actually comes back, So, of course, we can touch on Steven Jackson and the whole anti-Semitism thing that's happening. That's pretty frustrating to watch, honestly. Just like the players who are playing, players who are not playing, just kind of stories, tweets to kind of go over. The show on The Ringer, NBA Desktop, is kind of what I envision. Not exactly, but I don't know if you guys have seen that show, but basically, as far as like equipment and what's actually happening, it's a guy sitting in a room, his head is down in the corner, and he's talking about NBA news pretty much, and like the editing is what makes the show, B-Ball Breakdown is another show that or just like regular NBA content that I watch a lot. Share your guys' favorite NBA channels. I'd be interested to just kind of see what what kind of formats are working out there. Another idea I had was to kind of look at, in terms of like the way that I want to look at cards and like the card market in relation to players and maybe make predictions and stuff, especially with the NBA not happening yet, is who's getting the most like social media coverage by the NBA itself. They released a bunch of, like on Instagram, they've got, every day there's a new like top 10 crossovers of the season before the season return, top 10 putback dunks, top 10, game winners, top 10 dunks. So maybe like in a segment of the show, analyze all of those like highlight clips and see whose name comes up the most. Like just, see this is who the market is seeing a lot of, one way I kind of thought to tie in the market to it, because the thing is, what I don't spend a lot of time doing, and what I'm frankly not gonna get into spending a lot of time doing, is like, I don't know, and God bless the people who do this, but it doesn't interest me, like comparing like advanced market stats and like analyzing data heavily, seeing who's undervalued based on the value of other people and their stats and how it overlaps, and I'm just not good at that. So I just want to do like, in terms of like research and evidence, like something like that, like here's who's being marketed, here's who's appearing a lot, this is it quantified, and these are the prices of them in the last 10 days, like I that's about all the, I don't know, like research I want to do, frankly, at this point. I just want to watch basketball and make videos, um, but yeah, so that's that idea. That's kind of what I've got so far for it. I guess I'll just go to the podcast, or not to the Discord podcast chat to see what you guys have been saying. Read some of those. I guess reacting to some highlights would be cool. You could make recap videos if that's your thing. Otherwise, who will win the NBA Finals? So, like a predictions segment would be sweet. I'll write this out here. Maybe I'll type it in to my phone. Like a predictions for at least like the beginning of the season, but like before it comes back. Whoops. Predictions segment. That'd be cool. Appreciate you, Charlie, for that one. I think that was Charlie. Yeah. T-Port Sports. Any tips on Premiere? Okay, I'll answer that later. Editing tips. Like who's breaking out, player of the week. That's kind of what I was thinking with the like my squad or whatever, like my squad that I'm following. Yeah, that kind of goes with that. How do you see the sports card market moving during the resumption of the NBA season? How will it affect card prices? What players do you think would be a good investment short-term and long-term? Yeah, that's the kind of question that like I feel like I could. Thanks, Rylan, for the question. Just in general, I don't really like to make any types of statements like, buy this card now, you should buy these guys. Like, one, because I don't really do much research, like I was saying. And one, just because I don't want to be like blamed at all for, some prediction I make not going on. Like, I'm not like a hot takes talking head type. Like, I just don't see myself doing that. But I definitely like talk about what I'm thinking in relation to the whole situation, right? Victoria says, maybe show some of the cards you bought in the past, showing the prices you bought them at, showing how the market is now with your card investments, showing if the investment paid off or if it was a dud. Being transparent would be cool. Yeah, that we'll be doing that for sure. Stock up on guys in the playoffs, go over the price changes after the big games. Yeah, definitely would do that. Maybe like a segment that's, so there's my 5 guys, right? And then maybe like a hot guys of the week. That's so Freudian, the whole hot guys. My 7 hot guys that I'm following. So like a boom and bust of the week, maybe. Just like a more guys that had big games that aren't in my 5 guys, Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what I've got so far. What's on the brain for that idea? I think I want to make my my next moving to California video kind of about that idea, but more the idea of the, I won't call it a struggle, but like the thoughts within me that are like, do I do what gets views or do I do what is exactly what I want to do? I feel like with this kind of like NBA return, it'll definitely be a closer overlap of all that. Obviously, because we all can't freaking wait for the NBA to come back. I'm so excited for it, sitting and watching basketball every night, especially since I am working from home remotely 100% on my own, like freelance now. Like, I'm really optimizing my schedule to be done with everything for the day at like 3 p.m. on most days, so I'll definitely be able to put a lot of effort into sitting down and watching basketball, In terms of, speaking of editing, I'll answer T-Port's question about Premiere. Just any tips on Premiere to take yourself to the next level? I've got base level stuff down pretty well. Also, yeah, okay. So Adobe Premiere editing tips. It's tough to answer something other than like just putting in the hours, because that's definitely what makes the biggest difference. The fact that I've been editing on this program for like 5 years now and have done the last like 100 days straight with only a few days off, but things that actually shave time and improve efficiency really, really well are setting the if your computer. I know Trent's got a beast of a PC he was been talking about, but setting the render thing in the like preview window on the right to half is helpful, just so things load faster and you can preview them faster. Learning keyboard shortcuts or mapping keyboard shortcuts to how you use them. W and Q ripple deleting from the playhead is the biggest shortcut that made a change in my editing speed. Like this, probably the single biggest thing that increased my editing speed is ripple deleting with Q and W by far. Another shortcut I use a lot is N and Y on the keyboard. What Y does is it's just like complicated to talk about on podcast, but what Y does is lets you drag the in and out points within the time parameters already set on the clip in your timeline. So if you have your clip that's 1 second long, and it's cropped down on the timeline to half a second, you can drag within that half a second where it starts in the 1 second, or however long the clip is. Like you can change it literally like hit Y and drag a clip around and you'll know exactly what I mean. And then N, I believe, will change where the cut is on two clips that are together. If you hit N, you can ripple, like maybe ripple's not the right word. You can like drag one clip while at the same time shortening the other clip. Either way, if that makes sense. But keyboard shortcuts, huge thing to learn to save a ton of time. I've had basically the same editing situation, my MacBook Pro, on most of my YouTube career and editing, like professional career at least. We were talking about this as well. There's a plugin called Mr. Horse that has saved me a bunch of time. I've been using the text animations and the sound effects actually a lot. I've got a link in the description here too. If you like Control F plugins or Premiere in my description, Mr. Horse is the link that I've got in there, and that's the company that makes the plugin. I always thought plugins for editing programs were like, I could never figure them out. But this seems to be like almost its own app within Adobe that just works really, really well. It's the only plugin I've like understood, and it's really easy, and it saves a bunch of time. So Mr. Horse. I've got an affiliate link in my description if you want to buy stuff from it. The plugin's free, but they sell stuff. So if you hit up Mr. Horse and you want to buy something, I would appreciate that. It's been about 20 something. You guys, you probably saw an ad at the beginning of this podcast. Maybe you hit an ad already. Maybe there's an ad right before I said this. You ever were watching a podcast or something or a video even, and they're like, and then it goes to an ad. So the final thing I'll say in this podcast is, so maybe there's an ad there, maybe there wasn't. You guys know I don't, but that's it. We've got ads on the channel. We got a new NBA show, card related, sports, a little basketball related. We got some editing tips. We got ads on the videos. Did I say that already? We got free Thrive stickers in the description. Yeah, guys. Appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next episode. Take it easy. See you Saturday.